Well, today is tax day, the day in which you and more than 100 million other Americans ritually provide the federal government with 10, 20, or even 30% of your income, maybe 40 or higher, to finance our vast federal bureaucracy and various bombing campaigns around the world. Most people hate tax day, but Caroline Heldman is a big fan. It's hard to find him, but we did. She's a political science professor at Occidental College out in California, and she loves tax day so much she wants to expand it bigly. She's called for upping the top tax brackets in America to 80% or more. Professor Heldman joins us tonight. Professor, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Tucker.
So I just want to get to motive here for a second. Do you want the tax rate to go up to pay for more stuff or as a way to punish rich people?
Well, neither of those things. And let's be clear, I'm not talking about taxes for your viewers. I'm talking about taxes for the top 1%, and I'm not even talking about all of their income. I'm talking about the marginal tax rate, the highest rate, which right now is set at $470,000. So I'm talking about wealthy individuals who on $470,000 plus would be taxed at a much higher rate than they are now. And in fact, historically, for example, under Eisenhower and JFK, they were taxed at 91%. Now they're taxed at less than 40%. And this has meant that we've scrimped on the social safety net. We've scrimped on education. There are lots of things that this money could go for.
Well, we spend more on those than almost anyone else in the world. But to answer my question, I mean, you want to buy more stuff. It's not just because you object to the existence of rich people. You're not trying to hurt them. You just want to pay for more stuff.
Well, I don't think rich people are held to the same standards as other taxpayers. So I think that there are loopholes in their armies of lawyers and estate planners that allow them to hide their wealth. I would like to see that money go into the economy. I mean, taxes are the price we pay for civilization. I would love to see, free higher education. I would love to see our infrastructure, our crumbling infrastructure system funded in the United States. There are a lot of things that this money could go for if, wealthy people were fairly taxed, and they just aren't.
So you're from an affluent family. What does your mom think of this?
My parents, my family gives a lot in philanthropy, just as I do. I'm not on the top 1%, but, we are people who practice what we preach, and that means that you give a lot of money away in terms of nonprofits. I also use tipping of servers as a mechanism for redistributing wealth.
Wait, I'm confused. Okay, no, but I'm for all those things. I'm for philanthropy, and I'm especially for tipping waiters. I agree with you 100% on that, and so God bless you.
Glad to hear it, Tucker.
But you're asking other people to give their money to the government. Why aren't you giving 70% of your income to the government? You could.
Well, I'm not on the top 1%, but I have no issue.
You don't need to be.
Well, that's the argument I'm making, right? That it's not about working class Americans or people like me who are upper income Americans. It's about really the wealthiest top 1%. Now, I have no issue.
Wait, you're a college professor.
Taxes.
I'm not attacking you, by the way, at all.
I pay about 30%.
But
I know you're not.
Why not pay 70%? I don't understand. Like, what's holding you back? Why not lead by example?
Tucker, you know what's holding me back? If I knew how to do that, I would have no issue doing that. But the tax code is incredibly convoluted.
No, it's totally no. Trust me. Let me simplify it for you. Just write a check, pay your taxes, then figure out what you pay. 30%, you said. Just figure out what another 40% of your income would be, and just send it to the U.S. Treasury. Washington, D.C., no zip code required.
You know what I do, Tucker? You know what I do instead of that? Because we don't have a fair system of taxation, I write checks to nonprofits that are providing services that the government should be providing. So I write checks to Planned Parenthood. I write checks to nonprofits that provide a safety net for Americans, so it has the same effect.
I think you may be, but it doesn't actually. So why not pass a law requiring people to send money to charities that are more effective than the government is? I mean, so you're basically conceding.
That would be great too, as long as the 1%
is not the most efficient way to lift up the poor. Then why won't you send it to the government then?
Tucker, I would say this train wreck of a Trump government is certainly not the best way to serve the poor, since they have no interest in serving the poor. But in general, I think government does a fine job providing the services
I'm just asking you to practice what you preach. Let me just ask you one other question here.
I do practice what I preach.
Well, you don't. You're telling other people to send their money to the government, and you're not. So, like,
I'm telling the top 1%. No, Tucker, don't put words in my mouth. I am telling the top 1%. I am saying the government needs to tax them fairly. If we're going to talk about taxation, I actually think I'm taxed pretty fairly. I choose to spend way more than the majority of my income on other people. I choose to do that. But we're not talking about me. We're talking about.
Of course, we're not talking about you. You don't want to do it.
We're talking about the top 1%.
It sounds awful.
Tucker, no, you don't get to do this. You don't get to lie. You don't get. No, Tucker, you don't get to put words in my mouth. We're talking about the top 1%.
Professor.
You're noting the obvious. I'm not on the top 1%. It's not about me.
They're the
This
ones
is
who are going
not
to
an
have to bear the
argument
burden
about
but
me.
not you. Oh, it's not
yes,
about you. Okay, I get it.
yes,
It's never
yes,
about,
that's
it's
the
never
argument.
about the people proposing it. Let me ask you one quick question, though. I understand.
It's
Look,
the
there's
marginal tax rate on the top wealthiest
There's
Americans.
a real
That's what we're
concern,
talking
I think, about accumulation of wealth at the top. It's probably not good for society. I bet we agree on that.
It's not.
But it's not
Yeah.
about income. It's not about your income taxes. It's about capital gains taxes, taxes on investment, on capital that is working. That's how people get rich. Nobody's making $1 billion from a salary. Are you suggesting raising the capital gains tax rate to 70% too?
I am suggesting raising the capital gains tax on the wealthiest 1%. I am suggesting raising the income tax.
To what?
You know, economists say somewhere around 50% would be good. Income tax, you can go as high as 83%, and it won't suppress wealth pursuit.
But why would you want to tax
also,
labor
I would like
more
to
than
see,
capital? Why are you giving a pass to rich investors? I don't understand. Just why are you taxing working people?
The wealthiest 1%. I would like to tax them at higher rates across the board on their salary, on their investments, and also on what they're passing to the future generations. I want to see the death tax go up. I want to see all of it go up because right now the top 1% do not pay their fair share.
Okay, we got to go. But call me when you start sending all your money to the government, and then I'll follow. I'll follow suit. It's hilarious.
I'll call you when I'm on the top 1%. How's that, Tucker?
Perfect. We'll have lunch. Thanks, Professor.